Hello, welcome to SBK Edge Rush Extra. Tom Collins, Crystal Tom Collins, of course, as you're now known, the new nickname you've been given, courtesy of Propo over on our SBK Edge Rush show, and in a pretty snazzy studio by the look of it.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it? Look, check out the SBK Football Club. This kind of works as well with our pod, different kind of football, but still.
Football's football, right? And a nice World Cup edge to the show. We got 3 games we're going to into. And we're going to start with the AJ Brown Revenge Bowl. Titans, Eagles in Philly. Now, the Titans, they are the cover kings of the season pretty much, aren't they? Up until that Cincinnati game, covering 8 straight prior to that, lost to Cincinnati. Can they get back on the horse? What do you think?
Well, we covered that game last week in the show, and I said, I've never got the Tennessee Titans right so far this season. Now I can finally say I have, because I've backed the unders. Fortunately, the unders came in. There was 37 points in that game against Cincinnati. But at the same time, I just don't know where to go with the Tennessee Titans moving forward, because I thought they would be huge players in that Cincinnati game. Yes, Cincinnati ended up winning, but at the same time, Tennessee could have gone on to take that game to overtime if Kevin Strong decided to not make a boneheaded play with 1:53 seconds left, causing a first down and Joe Burrow just to kneel 3 times and the game to be over. Tennessee could have drawn that game, gone to overtime, and then won in overtime. So they're really hard. As you say, they've been a brilliant team covering the spread, but they're really hard to assess from a punting perspective. And now they travel to Philly, who are 10-1, but I don't think they're good enough to be 10-1. And I don't know where they're going to end up this year. So yet another tough game to cover on SBK Edge Rush Extra now.
Some of the key things you've got to look at, obviously, if the Titans are going to have a fighting chance in this game, at the very least covering the spread, then they've got to get Derrick Henry rolling against an Eagles run D that's improving. They bolstered, of course, bringing in Ndamukong Suh and try to strengthen their hand there. Conversely, they've got to make sure that they can keep this Eagles ground game in check. The Eagles, of course, running for an extraordinary 363 yards. That is Urban Meyer kind of levels of yardage. Urban Meyer, of course, last season famously suggesting that their minimum rushing yardage for his Jacksonville Jaguars team was 250 a game, which is a little bit optimistic, Urban, but hey, what do we know? They add 100 to that, and you got the Eagles. Now, it's not going to be as straightforward. This is a stout Tennessee D, of course. We're expecting them to contain certainly far more than the Packers did. Let's start with the first part of that conundrum. Can this Eagles run D keep Derrick Henry, if not silenced, then in check?
Well, I think that's going to be their plan A. If they can keep Derrick Henry in check, then Tennessee doesn't have much through the air. Yes, Treylon Burks is a fantastic young receiver. Robert Woods does his bit. But otherwise, Tennessee struggle at passing the ball. Ryan Tannehill not necessarily playing at an elite level this year. Derrick Henry needs to be able to run the rock for Tennessee to have a chance to win this game and cover the spread. Now, the spread is Eagles -5 currently. So, Tennessee need to be within a score, basically. And they will not if Derrick Henry cannot run the ball properly. I think Derrick's going to put up his yards. He tends to. He's a really brilliant, fantastic running back and super hard to get down.
You know what, that Propo likes that. That was one of Propo's prop bets the week on SBK Edge Rush. So he's with you on that.
Good. Yeah, no, I mean, if I need confidence, that's where I'm going to get it from. Propo knows his stuff. So
he knows his props.
I mean, yeah, it wouldn't be called Propo otherwise. But as you say, we're talking about the Eagles running game this time. How dare you bring up the Packers conceding that many rushing yards? Just to rub it in that.
How do you feel?
Just to rub it in.
Was that getting a little bit like how my Drew Locks on SBK Edge Rush are getting? It's gone beyond a joke now. My my Drew Lock last week, of course, was the Bucks to cover. And then, of course, the David Njoku and the Browns went on to definitely a top 10 all-time catch in the history of the NFL. I think we've established possibly higher than that as well. Of course, that happened on 4th and 10. Of course it did. So is that what we're getting now with the Packers and you're thinking, I'm just going to laugh. I'm just going to grab myself a drink and laugh.
Oh, 100%. It's just pain on pain every week. So after a while, instead of crying, you've got to laugh, because how can we concede over 300 rushing yards to this Eagles team? Now, I know they've got good running backs, Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell can run the ball, albeit he doesn't get many opportunities, and obviously Jalen Hurts. But we've shipped 170 yards to Jalen Hurts, 150 to Miles Sanders. It became a bit of a joke last week. And Philly aren't that good at running the ball. They're not that good. We just made them look that good.
All right. Are you taking any action on this?
Yeah, well, it's a game involving the Titans. So, I'm going to try and steer clear. But as a tipster, if I was advising the listeners at home to have a bet in this game, it would be bet the overs. The line is currently set at 44.5. Now, the last time these teams met, it finished 26-23 to Tennessee. There's no correlation, obviously, between that matchup and this, aside from the fact that went over 44.5. I think there is plenty of offensive weapons on both sides of the ball. And if Derrick Henry can run the rock, I think this will hit the overs.
All right, speaking of overs, Chiefs Bengals on X game, one of the games of the season so far. Certainly could be the AFC Championship game. Quite plausibly, the Bengals absolutely rolling again. The Chiefs the best in show in the AFC. Mahomes has thrown for at least 320 yards in 6 straight now. We know Joe Burrow loves this matchup, had the better of Andy Reid and Mahomes last time out, of course, last season, at crucial times throughout the season. And of course, ultimately, when it mattered in the AFC Championship, they got Jamar Chase back. He's got Mixon back. So I'm guessing this is a classic Joe's piling in on the over kind of game. What is the total at the moment?
Yeah, it's set to 52.5, which is very high considering the average so far this year, but at the same time, not considering these two offenses and the defenses as well. I'm super excited for this game now. I know you are. I know every NFL fan will be. In fact, I'm super excited for all the 9 p.m. games this week because I think it's a fantastic slate. I mean, in recent weeks, we've had maybe one standout game in each individual window. But this week, all of the 9 p.m. games are really good, really going to be fantastic watch for the neutral. So this is obviously the highlight. The Chiefs are 2-point favorites on the spread. So we have it close and the over at high. Maybe this is going to be a shootout.
You know, it's one of those games where I think I might just flip red zone off and just be concentrating on that game. And that doesn't really happen now generation anymore, right? I mean, sometimes you multi-screen, I know, but good old fashioned just watching a game all the way through. So I love about Thanksgiving, actually, you're forced to do that. So
yeah,
I am interested to see if the run D of the Bengals, which has looked impressive, can stifle this emerging ground game for the Chiefs. I think that could be a critical key to this game. What's your take?
Yeah, well, I almost fell off my chair last week when I was talking about Isaiah Pacheco. I love the guy so much. And he went on to actually justify my high opinion of him by running for over 100 yards for the first time in his NFL career. He's a fantastic running back. If the Chiefs want to lean on him, he will carry the ball and he will take them to victory. He's that good. But the Chiefs aren't just going to lean on him because why would they? They've got Patrick Mahomes, who's thrown for 29 touchdowns this year, by far and away the top in that statistic in quarterbacks. Actually, second is Joe Burrow with 23. They've got 52 total passing touchdowns between them. This game figures to be a shootout. There's no way it can't be, right? They're first and second in passing yards as well.
It's as you say, high number. I love the over on this, and we will all be the better for it, right? If we get that kind of game. Speaking of impressive ground games, well, the Cowboys maybe have the best tag team punch in the business right now. Tony Pollard emerging as a real top tier talent. Of course, working with Zeke, different styles of runners. It has added a core dimension to this pretty balanced Cowboys side. We know what they could do defensively. The offense is Dak's really starting to look comfortable since he's come back from injury, probably because of that underpinning of the ground game. The Colts on the road in Dallas, after all that promise, I shouldn't have written about Jeff Saturday as I did. The moment I wrote about Jeff Saturday for a national newspaper, I knew it was going to go one way. Jeff Saturday and the Colts starting to struggle. And you think about that Cowboys pass rush, Tom. You think about Matt Ryan, much as he's had a terrific career, it's easy to throw stones at players like Matt Ryan at the tail end of their career in the twilight, clearly struggling. Never been the most mobile, Matt Ryan, I think it's fair to say. I don't know how the Colts can possibly keep up. I don't see how they stop the ground game. I don't see how they protect Matt Ryan against this pass rush. This is why the Cowboys are heavy favorites, double-digit favorites. Do you think they cover the spread?
Yeah, they're 11-point favorites. And to keep it simple, yeah, I do think they cover the spread. I mean, the Colts just don't have an offense. Their only weapon at the moment, well, I mean, Michael Pittman is a weapon as well, but Matt Ryan has just really struggled to get the ball to him in recent weeks. But their predominant weapon is Jonathan Taylor, and they just can't get the ground game going. I mean, Matt Ryan last week, am I right in saying he didn't have a pass completion until midway through the second quarter? I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous that this offense is just not firing. Jeff Saturday, mismanagement in the fourth quarter as well. And you've got Dallas Cowboys coming in here red hot with, as you say, two of the best running backs in the league, especially, I'd say, definitely the number 1-2 punch running backs in the league. You've got wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb's out there just trying to notch up one-handed catch after one-handed catch. I mean, trying to impress OBJ, doesn't care about the game.
And Njoku by the look of last week.
Right, yeah.
Where do you think OBJ is going to end up?
Right now? Well, I think he's starting his visits today. We're recording this on Thursday.
Thursday's New York today. He's going to New York. Yeah, New York is looking at.
Buffalo, New York, Dallas.
It'll be Dallas. Yeah, Mark.
He wants that star, doesn't he?
Oh, big time. It's made for him. And actually, you think about tipping them over the edge. It's what I wrote about, of course, for SBK this week, looking at the playoff picture and Dallas. All about timing on the Nat Coombs show with Christian Scotland Williamson earlier on this week, former Pittsburgh Steeler joining us. he talked all about timing, and obviously that's important in a construct of the NFL when you have a knockout tournament at the end of the regular season. But he talked about how teams can get into a groove, how you build timing, why it becomes such a fundamental for successful teams. And of course, if you add someone like OBJ to the mix, it's a bit like, if we're bringing this back to the World Cup, it's like wheeling on Sterling or Foden with 15 minutes to go. You're an opposition defender thinking, oh my God, watching him warm up thinking, oh my God. And that is what defenses across the NFL will be thinking if Odell Beckham is added to that offense. Brilliant stuff, Tom Collins. As we said at the top, you're absolutely rolling over on SBK Edge Rush. Just to be clear, listeners, viewers, depending on how you're consuming this, he's 100% on his Drew Locks of the week. 100% 5-0. He's handling the Taylor Heineke Acker as well. So go and check that out. SBK Edge Rush over on the Nat Coombs Show podcast feed. One last bit of business. Any new SBK customer bet £10 and get £30 in free bets. Remember, 18 plus, begambleaware.org. Tom, good luck. Not that you need it. And I'll see you next week, bud. Take care.
See you next week.